Okay. Is it live streaming done, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, it started.
It started, right? Okay. So in Canto 1 and Canto 2, in Canto 2 mainly we talked about Parikshit Maharaj asking questions about Paramatma, about Ashtanga Yoga, about different paths as to why this material world was created, right? And what is the conclusion? We also talked about the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. We discussed all those things. Now, Canto 2 also ended about Vidura, and Sukadeva Goswami tells Parikshit the continuation of Vidura's activities in Canto 3. So, Canto 3 is basically about Vidura leaving Hastinapur after being insulted by Duryodhana. And then he just goes to different places of pilgrimage, right? He meets Uddhava finally. And then the first question he asks is about Krishna, right? So he is into a state of shock to hear that Krishna, Lord Krishna, and the entire Yadu community had departed this mortal world. So that was his conclusive understanding after meeting Uddhava. We'll go into details now. Then later on, he meets Uddhava directs Vidura to meet Maitreya Rishi because when the narration about Srimad Bhagavatam happened between Krishna and Uddhava, Maitreya Rishi was also present there. Okay. So he said, you better meet him so that he will discuss the entire cosmology framework and all the revelations that are there in the part of the framework. Okay. So that's the brief introduction. So from a theme-wise and a chapter-wise breakdown, first a few chapters, that is, I think chapter 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 will be about Vidura conversation with Uddhava or Vidura's life. He goes around and then meets Uddhava. So all those things about it. Okay. Then we learned about primary creation. And then Narada Muni asking question to Brahmaji and Brahmaji explaining, I am not the primary creator. The primary creator is the Supreme Lord. I am just an instrument. Nimitra Matra Bhavya Sakshena. So the secondary creation, which is nothing but Visarga, which is explained between chapter 5 to 12. Okay? Which is explained in chapter 5 to 12. You will see secondary creation detailing, right? So we'll talk about the universal form, mainly the Mahatattva, right? Then second is Brahma's awakening. We'll talk about how Brahma manifested from the lotus feet, the lotus stem of the navel of Lord Vishnu, right? And then how he was empowered to become the engineer of this material creation. So we'll do about that. Then we'll also talk about some technical ones. That is the calculations of, how the smallest thing that has been created, the largest thing that has been created, what is Brahma's duration, life cycle. A lot of technicals are there, all calculations. We'll try to give some overview about all those things also. Okay. Then the second theme of Canto 3 is all about Varaha, incarnation of Varahadev. Varahadev manifested from the nostrils of Brahmaji, and how Varahadev came to protect the Vedas, and also the fight, the fall down of Jaya and Vijaya that led to manifestation of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. The entire pastime with Hiranyakashipu will be discussed in the Canto 7. But with Hiranyaksha, the great fight that Varahadev had with Hiranyaksha happens in Canto 3, right? So how Varahadev kills Hiranyaksha. So all those things we'll discuss in Canto 3. Then after that, we'll also discuss the pastime of Kardama Muni. So now we will return back now. Where we'll return back, now we have Swayambhu Manu, who's got a daughter. Her name is Devahuti. So we're going to discuss about, as a father, he's searching for a Brahmana boy. He's searching to give his daughter to a pure devotee because it will liberate her. That's the goal of life, right? So after great search, we'll see that Swayambhu Manu finds Kardama Muni. Of course, it's arrangement of the Lord. Just a second. Yes, a message came. Just a minute. Hare Krishna. So the life of Devahuti, who's is a great devotee, um, comes and gets married to Kardama Muni. Now she's coming from a palatial background to hermitage background. So what is the transformation of her heart? How she accepted such a thing? Did she fight with her father, or did she accept the decision of the father? So things like that we will see. Then we'll basically see the devotion of a household life, devotional activities of an household life, especially in relation to the life of Devotee and Kardamuni, right? So we'll discuss about that entire pastime, and then how Kardamuni renounces and then goes, and then gives a child who's Kapila Muni, right? So we'll discuss all those things. Then the last part of Canto 3 will be about the life of Kapila Dev, right? So Kapila Dev, his main philosophy was the Sankhya philosophy. This is not the Sankhya philosophy that we talk about now, which is about science, the analyzing the material elements and all those things. So this Sankhya philosophy is an analytical breakdown of all the material elements. How the soul identifies itself even though it is in the body, and acquires the right knowledge and carves its path towards liberation. Right? So that's the Sankhya philosophy talked about. One second. Gayatri, ask him to come. Okay. Then after that, devotee is asking, what is the glories of devotion service? So Kapila Muni is presenting Bhakti Yoga, and he presents Bhakti Yoga which supersedes all kinds of logic, jnana, nyaya, shastras, everything. Beyond that, he presents Bhakti Yoga. He says how Bhakti Yoga is supreme, pure, and beyond all speculations that a mind can have. Right? So, like that, he talks about. And then he also talks about the last part, which is very interesting, the journey of a soul. Right? Right? Starting from the womb, okay? How it is developing and then finally coming to the end of the life, and then again how it is getting back into the womb. And during this entire cycle, what are the material miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease that it goes through? So Kapila Muni describes this in a very great detail to Mother Devahuti, right? So we will see all these things in Canto 3. The beauty is Prabhupada presents. Prabhupada presents that how Bhakti Yoga is so supreme and it goes beyond all aspects of speculations, right? He stresses on two important things. One is how bhakti is beyond speculation. The second, he talks about the disciplic succession, right? How disciplic succession is the one which can help one to get over this speculation, to speculative thought process, right? So Prabhupada brilliantly concludes the glory, the position of a spiritual master who comes to save the living entity, right? So we'll also have some narrations about Prabhupada's talking about all these things. Okay. Now what we will do is we'll stop here. As to I've just given you an overview of what we will hear in Canto 3. Now what we will do is we will begin with the quiz. I've requested Her Grace Rajasiri Mataji to come and do the quiz. So Mataji, even though she is a software engineer and busy with her life and schedule, she has accepted this request, and she very meticulously prepared a quiz format. Of course, it's a simple PowerPoint presentation only. But of course, thinking through and writing the questions and answers is a lot of effort. So let's all appreciate that. So now I requested her to come and do the quiz. So she will explain the rules and regulations, how we will do this quiz. She probably will do for about 30-35 minutes. Once she's done with the quiz, we will once again resume the entire story of Vidura leaving Hastinapura and what is the journey of Vidura that he goes through. Then finally he meets Uddhava to hear glories of Krishna, right? So that we will discuss for about 30-40 minutes. Okay, so now we will begin the quiz. I'll hand over this stage to Rajeshri Mataji. Okay, sounds good to everyone?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay. So Rajeshri Mataji will explain all the details. Mataji,
Yes,
should I make you the co-host or something?
Yeah, that will help, Prabhu. Just a second.
Where are you? Yeah, okay, you're here. Okay, I made you the co-host, Mataji.
Thank you. Check if I can. Yeah.
This session is
Okay.
recorded, Kada.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank
Thank you so much for the opportunity for me to be able to do this quiz.
Yeah. Just
Just a second. Yeah. So the lighting is a problem, but that's fine. Okay. So I'll just share my screen. I'd request you all to confirm if it is visible.
Mataji, switch off the light behind you. And that is glaring. Gives the glare.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just start screen sharing. Are my slides visible, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'm very grateful to His Grace Sundarup Shyamdas Prabhuji for giving me this opportunity. It was an nectarian experience hearing from Prabhuji about the Brhad Bhagavatham. So this quiz was prepared by going through all the wonderful lectures that Prabhuji has given us over the past few weeks about Brhad Bhagavatham. And also the book is available online if you all want to revisit and read later. So I've taken some references from those books as well, particularly one book where His Grace Gopi Pranadhana Das Prabhu has the full version of the book for us to look at it at ISKCON Desiratory. Okay. So the format of the quiz will be somewhat like this. So first thing is that you're all requested to listen to the questions carefully. And it's an MCQ type, multiple choice question type quiz. So you will have 4 options for each question, right? And all the 4 options will be displayed on the slide. You're requested to identify the correct answer from the given options, okay? And you can please type in your response, which option you think is the right one in your chat box, okay? And send it so that we'll all be able to look at the chat box, okay? Let us stick to the chat so that there is no chaotic unmuting in between. So please put your answers in the chat. After each slide with the questions and options, the next slide would be a reveal where you will be able to see the correct answer highlighted. We'll discuss the right answer as well, and then we can reflect how these teachings are applicable in our practice as well. So if you're all ready, we can start with the quiz. Also, the passing marks for the quiz is, as instructed by Prabhu, the passing marks for the quiz is 70%. So 17, so there are 25 questions in the quiz, and the passing marks would be 17. So if you're able to score between 17 and 20, it's a pass. And then if you're scoring between 20 and 22, then it is very good. And then anything beyond 22 is excellent. Am I right, Prabhu? Is that the right understanding? Okay. Okay, let's start off with the quiz. This is the first question and a very easy question. Who is the author of Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrita. Option A is Srila Rupa Goswami. Option B is Srila Sanatana Goswami. Option C is Srila Jiva Goswami. And option D is Sri Krishnadasa Kaviraja Goswami Pad. So let us take about 10-20 seconds to answer this in the chat box. Please type in your answers in the chat. Okay. We have C, option C, option B, option B. Okay. Somebody says option B, but there is no option B. Option B, C. We'll wait for another 5 seconds and then we'll close for this question. Hari 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 Bol. Okay, thank you all for your enthusiastic responses. The correct answer is option B, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad. So, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad and Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad, yeah, they are the principal among the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana. And Srila Jiva Goswami Pad was their nephew, right? So he has written the Shat Sandarbhas. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has written wonderful works such as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava, and so on. Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad has written this Brhad Bhagavatamrita. And this book actually distills the nectar from the Srimad Bhagavatam into 2 khandas. The first one is the Search for Mercy, part 1, and then the second one deals with the glories of Goloka. Srila Krishnadasa Kaviraja Goswami Pad, we all know he has written the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, wonderful. Thank you all for the enthusiastic answers. Let's move on to the second question. So, Narada Muni's quest begins in Prayag, right? So, who was the first person Narada Muni actually glorified as the greatest devotee of the Lord? So, was it a wealthy king, or was it Indra, or was it a Brahmana at Prayag, or was it Brahmadev? So, what should be the right answer? Can I request you all to please type it in the chat box? Was it the king? Was it Indra? Was it the Brahmana at Prayag, or was it Brahma? So I am see your answers in the chat. Okay. I think we are unanimous in this answer. Another 5 seconds for others. If anybody hasn't answered yet, please put your answers in the chat. Okay. Okay. So I think we're all clear about this one. The correct answer is, you're all perfectly right. The correct answer is the Brahmana at Prayag. So yeah, it's the Brahmana at Prayag. So actually, Narad Muni, when he began his quest to find the greatest devotee of the Lord, who is the greatest recipient of the Lord's mercy, he first meets this Brahmana at Prayag. But Narad Muni is very happy to see the humility of the Brahmana. He was in a very comfortable position, but still he was worshipping the Lord. So Narad Muni was happy with this Brahmana at Prayag. He was the first person he met. Thereafter, Narad Muni meets the southern king. Then the king. Then it comes to Indra, and then as he ascends this material world, so Narad Muni meets Indra, and then Lord Brahma. He also meets Lord Shiva. Shiva directs Narad Muni to Sutala, where he meets Prahlad Maharaj. So, and then Prahlad Maharaj directs him to Hanuman. Then Hanuman to the Pandavas. Then finally the Yadus, then Uddhava, and finally Uddhava directs Narad Muni to the gopis in Srimati Radharani. Right. And then finally, Narad Muni meets Krishna. So this is your sequence. So first person he met was the Brahmana at Prayaga. Right. Okay. So let's go to the third question. The question is, why did Indra reject the title of greatest devotee when Narada approached him? Okay. Option A is because his own position is temporary and he lives in the constant anxiety of demons. Option B is because he is not allowed to see the Lord. So Indra is not allowed to directly see the Lord. Option C is because he was scared of losing his opulence. Or option D is because he prefers to live on earth. So some of these options have been made so that it's easy for you to identify the right option. Okay, I think we're getting unanimous answers for this as well. Yeah. Haribol. So we have option A, B, C, and D. I'm not sure what V means. So there's no V. I think you're all unanimous, Hari. So we'll go for the reveal now. So the correct answer, like you all have perfectly guessed it right, is, see, Indra said that I'm not the greatest devotee of the Lord to Narad Muni because Indra's position itself is temporary, and Indra is always worried about being attacked by the demons, worried about Swargaloka being attacked by the demons, and he's constantly in the anxiety of this. And Indra also recollects his offenses when Krishna, took the Parijata tree from Swarga for Satyabhama. So he said that because I've committed so many offenses and my position itself is temporary, it's a post and I'll have to leave. And while I'm in this post, I'm also in the constant anxiety that some demons will attack. So I'm not the greatest devotee. I'm not always in the remembrance of the Lord. That was Indra's stance. So coming to the other options, yes, Indra also, there are instances where we see he's scared that he loses opulences. There have been instances where he has lost his opulences. He's not allowed to see the Lord is not true. Indra is allowed to see the Lord in Vaikuntha, but he's not in the constant sight of the Lord like Brahma is. And Indra prefers to live on earth is just an option given to build our enthusiasm and help us identify the right answer. Indra lives in Swargaloka. We'll move on. Thank you all. So question 4 is, when Narad Muni visits Lord Shiva in Kailasha, Shiva points him towards a devotee who refused liberation to only ask for pure bhakti. Who was the devotee that Shiva points Narad Muni to? Was it A. Hanuman, B. Prahlad Maharaj, C. Pandavas, or D. Uddhava? Who do you all think Lord Shiva pointed Narad Muni to? So we are getting some answers already. Haribol. So the speciality of this devotee is he said, I don't want liberation. I'm not interested in liberation. I only want pure bhakti. Haribol. Hari. So another 5 seconds, and then we'll close. Okay. Hari. I think most of us, okay. Most of us are getting this right, which is good. Haribol. Okay, thank you all for your responses. So let's see. Who was the devotee that Lord Shiva pointed Narad Muni to? So it was actually Prahlad Maharaj. So when Narad Muni met Lord Shiva at Kailasha, Shiva said that I am not the greatest devotee, although Shiva was engaged in uh, worshipping the Lord in Sankirtana. Still, he said, I am not the greatest devotee. You must meet Prahlad Maharaj at Sutala. Because Prahlad Maharaj said, when Shiva met Prahlad Maharaj said, I don't want liberation. What will I do with liberation? And Prahlad Maharaj said that for me, only pure devotion of the Lord is my goal. I don't want liberation. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, it is described about moksha laghutakrit. So liberation becomes very menial for devotees. It is not the goal. The goal is to attain pure love of Godhead. So at this stage, the other options are incorrect because Prahlad Maharaj then directs Narad Muni to the next devotee who is Hanuman, and it goes on to Pandavas and Uddhava, like we discussed. So let's move on to the next question. So Prabhuji, while explaining part 1 of Brhad Bhagavatamrita, spoke about the success formula for receiving Lord's mercy. So what is the success formula for receiving the Lord's mercy in our daily practice? Option A is accumulating material wealth to donate. Option B is purity is the force. Option C is performing complex fire sacrifices every day. And option D is studying logic and grammar exclusively. So what do you all think should be the right answer? What is the success formula for us to receive the Lord's mercy? Hari Hari. So we'll wait for a couple of seconds more. I think this is an easy one. Okay, Hari Bol. Shanta Krishna Prabhu, Murli Prabhu, Shiv Prasad Prabhu. Okay, so we have a lot of responses. Yeah, Shokatma Prabhu, Hari Hari. So all of you have got this on point. The success formula that Prabhuji very kindly highlighted for us was purity is the force. Prabhupada always says, purity is the force. If we want to receive the Lord's mercy, the greater the purity in our practice, the more sincerely we follow the instructions of our Guru Maharaj, the greater will be our purity of practice and more rapid will be our spiritual progress as well. So even if we accumulate material wealth and donate all of that, we will only accumulate punya karma rather than receiving the Lord's mercy to advance in devotional service. To get the love of Godhead, we need purity. Performing yajnas and complex fire sacrifices is not advised for the Kali Yuga because we don't have qualified brahmanas who can actually chant the correct mantras. Studying logic and grammar exclusively, so this will be completely on the material platform. So it doesn't serve the purpose. We lose it the moment we leave this body. All that logic and grammar will also be lost. So that was about it. So another analogy that Prabhu gave us during his lectures was the blooming lotus analogy, which is a very wonderful analogy for us. So this question deals with that. The blooming lotus analogy represents what specific aspect of the devotee's journey, of a devotee's journey? Option A is the growth of the physical body. Option B is the evolution of consciousness. Option C, the seasonal changes in Vrindavana Dhama. Or option D, is it the different types of flowers offered during Arati? Again, some of these options have been given so that things become easy for us to identify the right understanding. Hari Hari. So you're all also requested to keep a tab of your own scores. Okay. We're on question 6 now. So as we discuss the answers, please keep a tab of your own scores so that at the end we'll see what was our total score for each of ours. Hari bol, Hari Hari. Again, I think this understanding is unanimous. Okay. Thank you all for the wonderful, enthusiastic responses. The right answer, like you all guessed it perfectly, is the evolution of consciousness. So, Prabhuji, Sundar Prabhuji very nicely explained that, Sham Prabhuji explained that from the materialistic consciousness to spiritual consciousness is like the blooming lotus. So when we are in the materialistic consciousness or materialistic state of mind, our consciousness is like the closed lotus. But as we continue with our practices, this consciousness will fully open to receive the Lord's mercy, fully bloom. So this is about the blooming lotus analogy is about the evolution of consciousness. It's completely unrelated to the growth of the physical body. Of course, Vrindavana and all the activities there are transcendental, including the seasonal changes. But this particular analogy is not related to that. Different types of flowers offered in Aratik is again just an option for you all to direct you to the right correct answer. So we'll move on to the next question. So coming to the Gopakumara. Gopakumara was an illiterate coward boy who reached Goloka by chanting a specific mantra given by his guru. So what was this mantra? Was it the 16-syllable Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or was it a 10-syllable Gopala mantra? Was it the Gayatri mantra, or was it the Shiva Panchakshari mantra? So what should be the right answer? Right. Okay, Hari Hari. Hari Bol. So again, I think we're all unanimous in this Hari Hari Jai. So let's see the answer. So Gopakumara was chanting this 10-syllable Gopala mantra that his Guru Kamakhya Devi gave him. That is Krim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha, and not the Hare Krishna Mahamantra or the Gayatri mantra or the Shiva Panchakshari mantra. The key here is that Gopakumara continued chanting that mantra that the Guru gave very sincerely. So that's something that we can apply in our lives also. Our Guru Maharaj has given us, by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, Guru Maharaj has given us the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is glorified in the scriptures. So we must continue chanting the mantra, come what may. And just following this, transported this Gopakumara from all the different destinations he had been to the right place, to Vraja, where he could complete his sadhana and directly go to Golok Dham and serve the Lord personally, right? So that's the power of the mantra. So the other mantras mentioned here were not chanted by Gopakumara, Shiva Panchakshari or Gayatri mantra or Shodashakshara mantra. So we'll move on to the next question. What was the main reason Gopakumara felt a vacuum in his heart while he was serving the deities of Lord Jagannatha in Jagannath Puri Dham? So option A is that he wanted more prasadam. Option B is that Gopakumara, he desired a more intimate, lively and reciprocal personal interaction with the Lord. So there was no reciprocation with the deities at Jagannath Puri, although it was intimate service. And option C was he wanted to become the king of Orissa, or He found the temple to be too crowded, so he wanted to leave. What should be the right answer here? Why was Gopakumara feeling a vacuum while serving Lord Jagannath in Puri? Mary Bol. I think some devotees would be noticing the chat. It's always B. So if you're in doubt, then it's B. That's not the case, by the way. It's just over the past few questions. But that's not the case throughout the quiz. So that's not a loophole. Okay, Haribol, thank you for your responses. You're all, again, on point. So Gopakumara, although he got the opportunity to serve the Lord as a priest in Jagannath Puri, still he was feeling a vacuum in his heart because he wanted direct personal interaction with the Lord, a reciprocal relationship where when he speaks to the Lord, he gets a response from the Lord, and it's a wonderful exchange, that intimate personal exchange that he can have. Right? So he was yearning for that. Gopakumara was, unlike many of us, including me, I am very excited about prasadam. So he was not wanting more prasadam. Neither did he want to become the king of Orissa. In fact, we'll see later that in Gopakumara, we saw later in Vaikuntha, when Gopakumara got the 400 form, he preferred to keep his original cowherd boy form, right? So he didn't want to become the king of Orissa. And about temple being crowded was not a concern for Gopakumara. So that's just an option. So let us go to the next question. On reaching Vaikuntha, Gopakumara was offered a 4-armed form. Okay, I think I've given this away. What did he do? Did he accept the form? Did he decline it? Did he want to go back to Maharloka? Or was he confused? What should be the right answer here? Did Gopakumara accept the 400 Vishnu form in Vaikuntha? Did he decline it? Did he want to go back to Maharloka? Or he was just confused about it, what to do. He didn't know what to do. What was the case? Okay. Somebody is saying D, he was confused. Okay, we have also B. Okay. Okay. Hari. Okay, the B pattern continues. So thank you all. Let's see the answer. I gave this away. So Gopakumara actually didn't want the 400 form. In fact, we saw that Gopakumara was paying obeisances even to the Dwarapalakas in Vaikuntha and all the residents, because he was not able. Everybody looked the same. Everybody had the 400 form. So he didn't want that 400 form or the opulences in Vaikuntha. All he wanted was to serve the Lord personally. He was happy with the cowherd boy form that he had. He was happy with that simple cowherd boy form, right? So he didn't accept the 400 form. He didn't want to return to Maharloka. And luckily, because he was chanting the mantra given by his guru, that mantra gave him the clarity and also made him free from all kinds of material desires. Remember, his original desire was to earn, for the Brahmana, the original desire was to earn wealth, but when he chanted the mantra, he lost that wealth. Similarly, Gopakumara also didn't have all these desires because of the power of that mantra that he got. Okay, so let's go to the next question. What is the ultimate conclusion of Brhad Bhagavatam regarding the topmost state of love? So we'll go a little quickly now. Silent meditation in the forest, or is it spontaneous love in the mood of the gopis, specifically characterized by Viraha? performing one's varnashrama duties perfectly, or attaining the opulence of the heavenly planets? Yes. Okay. Okay, Hari Hari. Okay. Hari Bol. Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. So that's perfect. The ultimate conclusion regarding the topmost state of love from Brhad Bhagavatamrita is this ponte, the topmost state of love towards the Supreme Lord is that of the gopis and Srimati Radharani. So, in this mood of love, they are experiencing transcendental bliss even while they are not uh, in the presence of the Lord. So, in separation, also they're experiencing transcendental bliss. So that is the bhava of that is the mood of the gopis and Srimati Radharani. Silent meditation in the forest will probably take many lifetimes for us to progress even to the state of bhava, let alone prema. So performing one's varnashrama duties perfectly has been advised by the Lord, but again, that's not the topmost state of love. Attaining the opulence of the heavenly planets is the easiest by performing the punya karma. We can reach the heavenly planets, but again, once our punya is exhausted, Shine punya, Martya Lokam Vishanti. So we'll be back here. Let's go to the next question. In Mahakalapura, Prakriti herself offered Gopakumara liberation. So this is the Gopakumara. This is not the Mathura Brahmana. So Prakriti herself offered Gopakumara liberation. What did he do? So this is also an easy question. Did he accept it? Did he ask for more time to think about it? Did he refuse liberation, only asking for direct loving service to his Lord, saying that only direct loving service to his Lord could satisfy him? Or did he want to become a demigod? Hari Bol. Jai. Hari Hari. Okay. So wonderful. So all of you are again perfect. So here. The right answer here is again Gopakumara. He refused liberation because his real desire was actually to engage in the direct loving service of the Lord. He didn't want to become a demigod. He was not confused and he didn't want to think about liberation. He rejected it instantaneously that I don't want liberation. And I don't want to be. He had no other thoughts. He just said that uh, he wanted direct loving service to his Lord. Okay. So the next question: why does Lord Brahma consider himself in Maya or offensive, despite his high position? So Brahma actually is overseeing this entire material world, and he's on the topmost loka in the material world, right? Brahma loka. But why did he say that he himself is in Maya? Option A, because he is also a mortal. Option B, because he stole the calves and cowherd boys of Vrindavana and gave boons to demons like Hiranyakashipu. Option C, because he wants to live on the earthly planets. That's why he said he's in Maya. Or because he refuses to chant the Lord's names. Again, some of these options are just to point us towards the right answer. So what should be the right answer? Hari Bol. Okay. Jai Hari Hari. So again, the right answer here is option B. So Brahma said that how can I be the greatest devotee? I have committed so many offenses. When Krishna was performing his pastimes in Vrindavana, I went and stole all the cowherd boyfriends of Vrinda and calves in Vrindavana. he spoke about that Brahma Vimohana Leela and said that I have done so many offenses to the Lord. How can I be the greatest devotee? So I am also not perfect. I am not the greatest devotee. I have also given boons to Hiranyakashipu and other demons and caused a lot of trouble. So I am not the greatest devotee. It was not because, yes, Brahma is also mortal, but that was not the reason that he gave. He already lives in this material world, in the Brahmalok, not earthly plans. He was not willing for that. So option C is incorrect. So Brahma is also he is already seeing the Lord's form in Brahmaloka, right? So it's not that he refuses to chant the Lord's names. So the correct option is B here. Okay. Lord Shiva is glorified for his ability to award liberation or mukti. So how does he do this for those who die in Kashi? Option A, he grants them a physical sword to fight Maya. He performs a special fire sacrifice for them. Option B. Option C, he chants the holy names of Lord Rama or Lord Krishna into their ears. Or he gives them his own trident, the Trishula. So what should be the correct option? Lord Shiva actually awards liberation to devotees who leave their body in Kashi. And how is that? That's the question. Jai Hari Bol. Hari Hari. Okay. Hari Bol. So Lord Shiva is so wonderful. He takes up the service of actually chanting the holy names of the Lord. He chants Lord Krishna's and Lord Rama's names into the ears of the devotees who leave their body in Kashi. And that transcendental sound vibration is what awards them mukti. That mantra has the potency to award liberation. So Lord Shiva chants the mantra. So he doesn't grant them physical sword. So we're all incapable of fighting Maya. Maya is powerful, but only by the Lord's mercy can we overcome the effects of Maya. So option A is incorrect. Performing fire sacrifice, no, Lord Shiva does not perform fire sacrifice in Kashi. So that's also incorrect. Lord Shiva does not give his own trident. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. Why does Lord Shiva say chanting the holy name, Kirtanam, is greater than internal remembrance? Actually, while Narada Muni and Lord Shiva have this conversation in Kailasha, Lord Shiva tells that Kirtanam is better than actually Smaranam. So why? Option A, because anyone can chant the holy name. Option B, because chanting engages the voice, mind, and our ears together at once. So it benefits the chanter as well as all those who hear. Or option C, because Kirtanam is easier than Smaranam. Or option D, because Kirtanam can award liberation. So what is the right option? Revol. Okay, we are back to B. Okay. Somebody is also saying C. Okay. I think again the consensus is with option B. So that's absolutely right. Lord Shiva explained to Narad Muni that when we chant the holy names, when we engage in Kirtanam, the voice, mind, and ear all are engaged together, right? So it benefits not only the chanter, but also the ones who hear. Okay. So although, yes, anyone can chant the holy name, but chanting it loudly and along with other devotees, it's a wonderful way. So that is it. Other options are just there to direct us towards the right answer. So we'll move on to the next. So question number 15, Hanuman is glorified by Prahlada as a superior devotee because he possesses which specific quality? Is it constant physical strength? Is it the ability to fly across the ocean? Or is it his uninterrupted and direct service as the Lord's carrier, his umbrella and his friend? Or is it because of Hanuman's vast knowledge of Vedic grammar? What should be the right answer? Jai Hari 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 Bol. Okay. It's wonderful to see unanimous answers on this. Hari Hari. That's perfect. So Prahlad Maharaj said that Hanuman I am not the greatest devotee. Hanuman is way greater than me because he is always engaged. I am in Sutala worshipping the Lord from here, but Hanuman is always directly engaged in the service of the Lord as his carrier, as his umbrella, as his friend. So this is uninterrupted service, which I don't have. So he was not talking about Hanuman's physical strength or his ability to fly over the ocean and so on. So we'll go to the next question. So why does Uddhava desire to be born as a blade of grass or a bush in Vrindavan? So was it because he wanted to hide from his enemies in Dwaraka? Or was it because he had the mood that the gopis will step on him if he was a grass and he could receive the mercy of the dust of the gopis' lotus feet? Or option C, because he prefers to be idle in Vrindavana? Or option D, because he wanted to avoid all of his duties in Dwaraka and just go to a secluded place? So what was the mood of Uddhav? Jai. Very good. So again, we have option B as the right answer. So Uddhava Uddhava desires that he be born as a blade of grass in Vrindavana, Trina, so that the gopis might step on him, and through the mercy of the dust of the gopis' lotus feet, he will achieve the mercy of the Lord. So it was not about anything else, about hiding from his enemies. That is not the mood of Uddhava. He's one of the greatest friends of Lord Krishna. And in fact, Krishna sent him to meet the gopis when they were in separation. So, yeah. When Krishna wakes up in Dwaraka, what is the first thing he asks his associates? That's a nice question. So, what Krishna actually asks his associates immediately when he wakes up while he is in Dwaraka? Option A, what is for breakfast? Option B, where is my Sudarshana Chakra? Option C is, what should we do for the people of Vrindavana? Or option D is, how many demons did we kill yesterday? So, what does Krishna tell his associates? Jai, Jai. Haribol. Thank you all. So, Krishna's heart is always in the mood of Raja, always Vrindavana. So, Krishna is not bothered about breakfast or his Sudarshana Chakra or the number of demons that were killed, but what should we do for the people of Vrindavana? He keeps sending Uddhava, he's always in the memory of the residents of Raja because of their unconditional love for him. So even amidst Dwaraka's opulence and Aishwarya, Krishna's first waking thought, the moment he wakes up, he's always thinking of Vrindavana. That's where Krishna's heart is. Okay. So why did Lord Brahma ask Vishwakarma to create the Nava Vrindavana near Dwaraka? So this Nava Vrindavana was created near Dwaraka. Why was it? Was it to build a vacation home for all the demigods? Was it to stop the citizens of Dwaraka from crying by creating a replica of Vrindavana so that can soothe Krishna's intense separation from Raja? Option C, was it to grow some special medicinal herbs there? Or option D was it to prepare a war against Jarasandha? What would be the right answer? Yeah, perfect. This is also B. Hari Hari. You're all on spot. So because Krishna was always longing in intense separation of Raja and all the residents of Dwaraka were not able to pacify Krishna. So then Brahmadev asked Vishwakarma to create this Nava Vrindavana in Dwaraka, near Dwaraka, so that they can visit Nava Vrindavana and that can pacify Krishna and also the residents of Dwaraka. So It was not for a vacation home. It was not for growing any medicinal herbs or for preparing a war against Jarasandha. Right? Okay. So Gopakumara had a guru, Jayanta, right? Who is Jayanta actually? Who is Jayanta in disguise? Was it Narad Muni? Was it Lord Shiva? Was it Lord Krishna himself acting as the spiritual master? Or was Jayanta just another simple cowherd boy from the neighboring village? So who was Jayanta in disguise? Okay. Shiv Prasad Prabhu says Lord Shiva. Okay. And Subramanyam Prabhu, Premavati Mataji. Okay. All of you are saying it's option C. Okay. Jai. Jai, Jai. Okay. Ashokatma Prabhu. Yes, C. Okay. Okay. Right, Haribol. So actually the guru who came for Gopakumara was actually Krishna himself in disguise. Krishna came as Jayanta. Although he appeared like a simple coward boy from the neighboring village, but Jayanta was Krishna himself who was guiding Gopakumara to come back to Golok. So Golok Dham. It was not Narada Muni or Lord Shiva. Okay. So question 20, what was the effect of the 10-syllable Gopala mantra on the Brahmana? His name was Jana Sharma. So what was the effect of this Gopala mantra on him? It gave him immediate material wealth. Option A. Option B, it purified his heart, removing his desire for wealth and giving him complete detachment. Option C, it made him the king of Mathura. Or option D, it allowed him to understand all 18 Puranas instantly. Right. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay, Hari bol, Hari bol. Hari Hari. Again. So this is a coincidence. A lot of the right answers are option B. Okay. So the 10-syllable Gopala mantra actually removed the Brahmana's, Jana Sharma's desire for wealth. He started off with the desire to earn a lot of money. But by the grace of his guru's mantra, the mantra purified his heart. It removed his all the material desires. And it gave him complete detachment from wherever he went. He didn't want uh, the opulences or the service. He wanted service there, He was not attracted to any of that. He wanted direct personal service, intimate service to the Lord, where he could have a reciprocal relationship. He was yearning for that. So the mantra did not give him immediate wealth, which was his desire, but it actually gave him something much, 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 much higher than that. It didn't make him the king of Mathura. So the desire was to understand the Puranas instantly, so that also didn't happen. So we move on to the next question. When Gopakumara finally reaches Krishna, what does he learn about himself? There's a realization that Gopakumara gets when he meets Krishna. So what he understands, he realizes. Option A, he is an incarnation of Narad Muni. Option B, his eternal identity is Sarupa, a cowherd friend of Krishna. Option C, he realizes that he must actually rule as a king. Or option D, he realizes he must return to the earth to preach. So what is this? What should be the right answer? Hari Hari. Jai Jai. Wonderful. So actually Gopakumara realizes his eternal identity as Sarupa, a constant cowherd friend, an eternal cowherd friend of Krishna, right? Not that he was Narad Muni's incarnation, or he suddenly, after going to Goloka, didn't think that he has to rule as a king or return to the earth to preach or anything. Okay. He got his Sarupa Siddhi, identified that he was Sarupa. Okay. Question 22. Why does Krishna tell Narada that Narada is his best friend and the best among devotees, or a best of devotees, at the end of his search? When Narad Muni meets Krishna at the end of his search for the recipient of the greatest mercy, what does Krishna tell? Why does Krishna tell that he is his best friend? Option A, because Narada traveled the whole universe. Option B, because Narada played the veena so beautifully. Option C, because Narada made the Lord remember Vraja and the gopis, which is the Lord's greatest pleasure. Or option D, because Narada brought him a special gift from Dwarka. Jai, Jai. Yeah. Perfect, perfect. Manivandan Prabhu, Neeta Mataji. Yes, Mamata Mataji. Haribol. So, the correct answer, like you all have rightly identified, is option C. Narad Muni made the Lord remember Vraja, Vrindavana, which is his heart and soul, and the gopis. So that gives so much pleasure to the Lord. And that's why he said, the Lord says to Narada Muni that he is the best of his devotees, right? Okay. So why does Gopakumara experience continual spiritual restlessness even after achieving impersonal liberation and reaching the majestic realm of Vaikuntha? So when he saw Brahmajyoti, he was not happy, he was restless. When he went to Vaikuntha also, he didn't want the four-handed form. So he was restless. Why? Option A, he lacks the proper qualifications to stay there. Option B, he desires material wealth and earthly recognition instead. Option C, he loses faith in the Gopala mantra given by a spiritual master. And option D, a devotee's soul can only find complete satisfaction in the intimate sweetness of serving the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan. Very good. Jai, Jai. Okay, finally, we have a different option coming up in the answers. Okay. The pattern is broken now. Jai. So perfect, perfect. Haribol. So Gopakumara was not happy with anything else other than the intimate personal reciprocation with the Lord. So that is the devotee's ultimate satisfaction, right? Intimate, there is a sweetness in serving the Lord personally in Goloka. So, which cannot be compared to impersonal liberation or, even getting the four-handed form in Vaikuntha. There is no comparison. So, it's not that he lacked the qualifications to stay in Vaikuntha or liberation. He was there because he had the qualifications. Because he chanted the mantra that his guru gave with faith, always he continued chanting, right? So, it's not that he lost faith in the mantra. And long back he lost. So, Gopakumara was not starting with a desire for material wealth or earthly recognition. So, such desires were lost. So, by the power of the mantra. So, let's go to the second last question. We're almost at the end of the quiz. So, which is considered the type of devotion that pleases Krishna the most? Option A, is it Vaidhi Bhakti? Strict adherence to ritualistic rules. Option B, unconditional, spontaneous love, which is exemplified by the Brajavasis, that is the Raganuga Bhakti. Or option C, is it achieving absolute peace and merging into the impersonal Brahman? Sayujya Mukti. Or option D, is it offering prayers at the time of distress? Vandanam, like Gajendra. So what should be? What is the devotional process that pleases Krishna the most? So let's see what you all have to say. Okay, again, we're back to B. Jai, Jai. So that is the right answer. So all of you are, you already know all of this. So I think it's become a very easy quiz. So unconditional, spontaneous, loving devotional service that is exhibited by the gopis and the Vrajavasis, that type of bhakti, that kind of love of Raja, Raganuga Bhakti is Krishna's most favorite, or the kind of bhakti that pleases Krishna the most. Of course, Krishna appreciates our sadhana through Vaidhi Bhakti. And merging into the impersonal Brahman is a type of liberation that some of the demons get, and it's not the desire of the devotees. Offering prayers at the time of distress, Krishna appreciates that, but then that's not the topmost. So the last and final question for today's quiz. We'll be concluding the quiz with this. What critical spiritual practice fuels Gopakumara's entire journey through the material and spiritual universes? What was that critical spiritual practice? Option A, severe physical austerities and silent meditation in the forest. Option B, extensive study of Vedic philosophy without chanting any mantra. Option C, consistent chanting of the holy name and the mantra given by his guru. Option D, the performance of grand yajnas, fire sacrifices, and installing deities and worshipping. So, what was that one critical practice that actually propelled Gopakumara from this Vrindavana and the material abode, Mathura or Vrindavana and the material abode, to Goloka Vrindavan Dham? Entire journey he had. What fueled that? So, what are the answers you all giving? Hari Hari. Okay. So V is something that's coming up and I don't understand. Okay. C, Haribol.
That V is in the keyboard, B and C in between.
Okay, so
somebody, when they are pressing in the mobile.
okay, so it's coming V.
Keyboard mistake. They want to press C or B, in between V is there. That is the reason, I think.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So yeah. Here, the one practice that actually fueled Gopal Kumara's entire journey was his faith on the mantra that Jayanta, his guru, gave. And also he was consistently engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord till the very end. Wherever he went, he continued chanting. That is what fueled his entire journey to Golok Vrindavan Dham. That is the takeaway for us from Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad's teaching in Brhad Bhagavatham. At all times, we have to take shelter of Harinam Prabhu, take shelter of the holy names, and we can get through any situation just by the power of the holy name. So, Hare Krishna, thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm sorry that has taken much longer than expected. So,
Haribol
Thank you,
Mataji
Mataji.
for the
Very
excellent
nice
conduct.
information.
Mataji for the wonderful
Wonderful quiz.
conducting of the quiz. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Well, Mataji, thank you.
Okay, very nice. So it looks like you all enjoyed the quiz.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this quiz has again taken us entire discussions that you had made in these sessions.
Great. So now, so heartfelt thanks to Rajeshwari Mataji for helping put this across together, compiling nicely. And also very brilliantly, she explained the reason behind the answers, not just giving the answers and going away. Okay. So now moving forward, we'll follow some formats like these. But this time, Mataji was merciful that she gave all simple MCQs. But next time, it's going to be a combination of MCQs and filling the blanks. Okay. So like that we will do. Now, after the Canto 1, after the first 5 chapters, we'll have a quiz. 5 to 12, we'll have a quiz. So like that, after every theme we are done, we'll have a quiz. And if any of you are interested, saying that, Prabhu, I can do the quiz, I can do things like that, please come forward and you can take up that service. It's a great way to do that service because you'll go through the entire slokas, materials, and all those things. You'll understand more deeper, you'll prepare it, and you'll present it, right? It's a wonderful learning exercise service. You should grab it. That's my opinion. Okay. So after the 5th chapter, we'll have the quiz. So people are interested, they can send a WhatsApp to me and we can converse on how to have this quiz constructed. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So now we'll continue with our discussion on what happened to Vidura meets Uddhava to discuss about Krishna. Okay. So what happened is, Vidura, so there are 3 mothers who gave birth with Vedavyas. Amba, Ambalika, Ambalika, So third one?
Ambika.
Ambika, okay. Suddenly it missed. So now Vidura is not born out of all for three of them. Vidura is born to Dasiput. She is a Dasiputra. That means she's born to a servant maid. And even though Vidura is born to a servant maid, his understanding of the scriptures, understanding of Krishna was extremely high. He is one of the Mahajana. He is the greatest devotee of Lord Krishna. And Vidura is a realized soul. Okay. So now we're not going to go into the details of Mahabharata because we saw that in Canto 1. In Canto 1, we saw Mahabharata where we ending what happened. And now Vidura is trying to tell Dhritarashtra that your death is fast approaching. Okay? You have to awaken yourself about the facts. That you are a spiritual soul living in this body. You don't want anything here. You are just living a life out of your enviness. So all his statements were razor sharp. You know what's the meaning of razor sharp? It'll just cut, right? So he says, it's time that you take away austerity and then do some pilgrimage. And that's what you're supposed to do. But Dhritarashtra was never ready to realize. So Vidura reflected on his own life and realizations. And all the harsh words that he heard from Duryodhana, he decided to hear the teachings from Maitreya Rishi and of course from Uddhava. So he left. Okay. Now in the previous chapters you see, Sutta Goswami describes that Vidura suddenly enters in a dramatic manner the capital of the Pandavas. Okay. Or the Kauravas. He explained that in the first canto. Then the narration goes where Sukadeva Goswami is narrating to Parikshit Maharaj. And in that essence, Sukadeva Goswami is trying to teach Parikshit Maharaj that essence of the entire life is to pass the final exam. Okay. So what does that mean? It means our final exam is death. If you don't pass the death, you will be born again. If you pass the death, you'll go back home, back to Godhead. And that's called ultimate liberation. So then what is the course of life? Each one of us has a course of life, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, whatever it may be. What is this course of life? It's about preparing for that final exam called death. So that means the entire life is not about doing business, studying this, studying that, doing many complicated things. It's not about all those things. It's all about preparing our consciousness. That's it. There's nothing else is there in this world, in this life, right? So in the process, one can evolve by following dharmic life, doing his prescribed duties, and centering Krishna as his life. But this is the most important aspect. Then Sukadeva Goswami explained the universal creation. Then he explained to Parikshit Maharaj how Lord descends in various avatars. Then we talked about the 4 slokis of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chatur slokis, and the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So at the end of Canto 2, what happened? Shaunaka Rishi and all the sages, they requested again, please help us understand about Vidura. What is Vidura's role? How Vidura is a great devotee? And why is that Vidura is called as a Mahajana? Right? So the first question is, what is the topic that Vidura discussed with Maitreya Rishi? What was the transcendental nectarian discussion that happened? So please explain us. Oh, the Shaunaka Rishis are asking Sutta Goswami. They are trying to make understand the conversation that Sukadeva Goswami narrated to Parikshit Maharaj on the topic of Vidura discussing with Maitreya Rishi. Okay, what did he ask? What was the nectarian discussion that happened between Vidura and Maitreya? Second question is, why Vidura gave up the connection to his family members? So his family members are both the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And why did he game the family members and what did he do? Right? So, while Sutta Goswami was explaining the concepts of creation and destruction, he is also talking about the great personalities, how they led their life in understanding such topics and transcendental topics, and then how did they practice their life. So one is hearing Bhagavatam, one is hearing the various subjects of Bhagavatam, but what are we doing about after hearing it? Are we changing our life? Are we changing our consciousness? Right? So this is the whole point that we need to understand. So Sutta Goswami first speaks that in his narration he talks about Sukadeva actually glorifying the palace of Vidura. Okay, what happened in palace of Vidura is whenever Krishna used to come, Krishna used to stay in Vidura's house and not in the palatial Hastinapur's palace, even though that was richer and bigger, but he used to stay in one servant maid's house. That was the glory. Why? Because Vidura was very renounced in his consciousness in this life. Okay. Now, that Vidura who had, served and lived in his own palace with Krishna, why did he leave all of them and then, he went to the forest or he left Hastinapur and go away? He didn't care for his own palace. He didn't care for the palace of the Kauravas. Why did he go there? Okay. So the story begins like this. So Yudhishthira and the Pandavas became the victims of the gamble match, right? So the gambling is generally a pastime that the kings play. And the stakes are also very simple, and there is no hidden agenda with the stakes. But here, the agenda was very crooked in the consciousness of the Kauravas. And somehow they want to kill the Pandavas. That was the whole idea. And subsequently, the gambling match resulted in the exile. And the entire kingdom of Pandavas was taken by the Kauravas in an improper, illegal manner. When the exile was over, when Yudhishthira came back, Dhritarashtra refused to give him the kingdom back. What was rightful to Yudhishthira, he did not give it back. In fact, Duryodhana declared that we cannot spare any amount of land, not even the edge or the tip of the needle that falls on the ground. Even that much land also I cannot give. Krishna came as the mediator. He came personally to Hastinapur to try to educate them, but it resulted in no hope. At the time, Dhritarashtra called for Vidura's advice. Because Vidura is like a half-brother for Dhritarashtra. And the speciality of Vidura is always he speaks this plain truth. And all his truth is based on Dharma and Shastra. Even though it was Dharma and Shastra, Dhritarashtra could not accept it. And what is the message of Vidura to Dhritarashtra? That, Yudhishthira is Dharma personified. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is a man with zero enemies in this entire creation. If we do not appease Yudhishthira, forget even appease, even just to reciprocate in the right manner, as if he's almost your own son, right? The entire Kuru dynasty will get devastated. So Vidura's core of the advice was, do not maintain enmity with Yudhishthira and his brothers, and also with Krishna, because they were protected with Krishna. And final, message of Vidura was to Dhritarashtra, if you do not follow these things, Bhima would kill all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. There's no doubt about it. And Yudhishthira will get back his throne his legitimate kingdom after a very cruel war. And he said, Dharma will win, truth will win. So do not take these wrong steps. So that was the Vidra's advice to Dhritarashtra. And the most important aspect of the advice was Vidra told Dhritarashtra that the root cause of this entire problem is your son Duryodhana, who is considered to be offense personified. Okay? His first offense is he's very envious of Krishna. And if he's envious of Krishna, he can never improve in his life. So please remove him. Because he's envious of Krishna, he's envious of everyone connected to Krishna. And his heart is covered with greed and lust. So kill him or remove him from the kingdom. But unfortunately, whenever Vidra advised to Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana also used to be present during that time. And when he heard his uncle's words, uncle is Vidra, when Duryodhana heard his uncle's words, Vidra, he criticized Vidra very harshly. He used to say, who asked him to come here? A son kept of mistress' son. Who asked to come here? And then he used to use the word, he's a crooked spy. And he says, he's an infidel who will work for the enemy. Okay? So, in such harsh words, he used to say that, take him out of the palace, throw him out of the palace. In fact, he used to say that I don't mind even killing him, right, if he continues in this manner. So that was the sharp words that Duryodhana used to throw on Vidra whenever he advised his father. Whenever Vidra advised Dhritarashtra. So Prabhupada writes in his purports, very brilliantly writes, I'll just read that for you. Duryodhana knew very well that Vidra was a great soul and a well-wisher. But unfortunately, he used very strong words to hurt his innocent uncle. There's a word called character assassination. Duryodhana attacked on the personal aspects of Vidra also, about his birth, because he's born to a mistress, right, a servant maid. And then he used to always call him an infidel, where infidel meaning is, one who will adhere to some principles of religiosity, which is deviated from the majority of the people who are thinking. So here, the contextual meaning is, hey, you're part of Kaurava family, but you're always thinking of Pandavas. And thereby, you are causing distress and enmity to the Kaurava family. Okay? So like that, he used to use very strong words. And he told Dhritarashtra not to hear the words of Vidra. Now, even though Vidra spoke the truth and Dhritarashtra did agree to that, but his attraction, his love for his son Duryodhana blindfolded him. So that's why you see, the biggest drawback of Dhritarashtra was he is blindfolded externally and he is blindfolded internally. So externally also he could not see. Internally he could not see the truth, even though he heard it, he knew it, but he was blindfolded. Okay? So Vidra was charged with abominable words and actions and was punishment. He was just thinking that Vidra was stuck with wonder at such unexpected behavior from his nephew, Duryodhana. So what Vidra said, okay, before anything could happen, I will decide to leave this palace. So what he did, he took his arms or weapons or whatever it may be, placed it at the entrance of the, the door, the Vaskal, he left. Every word that Duryodhana spoke, pierced like an arrow in Vidra's heart. Right? So, just placed everything and then went away. Now, Vidra used to think, why this is happening? he recognized Krishna's act, underlying behind a great event that is going to happen. What is a great event? Because Vidura went, he was able to have a conversation with Maitreya Rishi, and third canto of Bhagavatam came to us. Vidura also increased his devotional service. Vidura also increased his, washing off his sinful actions that he had, sinful reactions that he had accumulated. So like that, he started to take that as, what do you say, will of the Lord. Most important thing that Prabhupada says is, this is the beauty. The Maya, which is the external energy, which acted on Duryodhana, and that resulted in, vanquishing him at the ultimate end. Completely, he was dead. That's why he could not accept the sound advice of Vidura. And, he also did Vaishnava Aparadha. Right? But this is the consciousness of Duryodhana, who's influenced by the external energy Maya. But look at the consciousness of Vidura. Vidura saw the external energy of Maya is acting on him. That's why Duryodhana is not able to come out of it. Even though Duryodhana was so bad in his behavior, he saw the external energy influence of Duryodhana, and then he understood why this is happening. So, internal energy acted on Vidura. Lord Krishna's internal energy acted on Vidura. Lord Krishna's external energy acted on Duryodhana simultaneously. This is the beauty. So that means the internal energy and external energy are one and the same. It is either Yogamaya or Mahamaya. That's what even Kunti Maharani prays in her prayers. He's saying it is the same Maya Shakti that is acting in favor for people who can practice devotion. It is the same Maya Shakti that is acting against the people who are not able to practice devotion, but they go into material world deeper and deeper. So now Vidura started to travel. So Krishna made all the arrangements for Vidura, how he would travel. The only thing while he was traveling is, he was always thinking of Lord Krishna. What shall I do? What shall I do? Because he's thinking of Krishna, the Paramatma in the heart paves the way as to what he will do. In fact, Prabhupada says, Vratani chere haritoshani. That means a person while wandering, he does not know what to do. He's always thinking of Krishna. What Vidura did? Without expectations. Oh, Lord will do this. Lord will provide food. Lord, no expectations. Vidura just went on a pilgrimage. He started doing his duties. What are his duties? Regulated principles, following Ekadashi, following whatever his dharmic activities. All was he from. Whatever happened, he just practiced. He kept on chanting the name so that he kept on remembering Krishna. There's a brilliant question that a devotee asked Prabhupada. He says, when Vidura went on a holy place as this pilgrimage, why did Vidura not think of Krishna rather than went in search of his purification? So Prabhupada answers in a very brilliant manner. Generally, when we are in a bad association, we are in a dangerous situation. Okay. So Lord Vidura could have approached Vidura could have approached Lord Krishna directly to solve this problem. But he did not. Why? Because he felt that he is not sufficiently freed up from the sins that he committed. What's the first sin he's committed? The first sin he committed was association with bad people. When association with bad people happens, we accumulate their consciousness, their bad consciousness onto us. It's not a good idea. So, whenever we see people who are envious of us, whenever people we see who is a gross materialist, the best solution is to stay away. That's what Vidura is teaching. Second, one cannot be 100% devoted to the Lord unless he is freed of all the sins. That means if my devotion to the Lord has to increase, first I have to be free from all the sins. Any sins accumulated by any matter. Here, Vidra felt that all these years, I got a salary or I got money from the Kauravas as salary. And I made up this body, whatever my body is. The salt that I ate is out of that salary. So that means that also has polluted my consciousness. That means working for the right company, working for the right job, working for the right activity is also very important. You cannot say, I will be a butcher, but I'll chant the holy name. It's contradictory. Okay. And Vidra's association with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana constantly made him to become diplomatic. How to say this, how to say that. It's not about saying the truth or the false. So hence, Vidra accumulated sins like that. And he felt that he had lost all his piety, and there is no way that he is eligible to associate with the Lord. And hence, Vidra did not go in search of the Lord Krishna, but he went in search of his own purification. What did the purification give him? Purification gave him fearlessness and dependence on Krishna. That's the beauty. Same thing, Prabhupada, Abhay Charanaravinda. It gave him fearlessness. And Prabhupada was never fearful. Going to America, what will I do? No money, no relatives, nothing. Will I get food? Will I get this? Look at what Prabhupada's consciousness was. Look at our consciousness. We go somewhere, oh, is there all cozy comfort? Is there food? Is there this? Every detailing we take and then we go. That's because that is a sample of fearfulness, 100%. The Prabhupada just depended on Krishna and went. That's fearlessness. Vidra wandered all the holy places from west to east for 35 years. 35 years he wandered. That means it's not about, okay, I went to Prayagraj once, I took bath, I am full of free and all sin is gone, I am completely renovated, I'm ready to go to Krishna. No. He wandered for 35 years. He visited all the holy rivers, lakes, Punyakshetra, just to purify him. He took up lots of austerities. Several times he did not sleep. And whenever he slept, he did not have a bed. He just slept like that. Saying that this body is built out of comfort from nonsensical thinking. So it has to go to the austerities. He used to go to all the temples where Krishna Chakra, the Susan Chakra was visible. He used to go there. And he used to sit with those sages there and try to take their blessings. So after so much of travel that Vidra did, he finally reached the Prabhasha Kshetra, which is currently called Gujarat now, modern day Gujarat. But after coming there, he found that Krishna and their entire Yadu dynasty had departed this world. He was fully grieved in his heart, and with a lot of sadness, he moved away again in the opposite direction, that is moving towards the east. So he came near the Yamuna. He came near Vrindavan, which is like the region of Haridwar, Delhi, and all those places. So Prabhupada explains what is the mood and the consciousness for one searching for Krishna. He says, when devotees go to these Punyakshetras, that is the holy lands, they travel all the paths that Krishna traveled. They go to the holy places that Krishna went and performed his pastime. They go there to invoke their consciousness. Those places are very sacred. Which are places that Krishna kept his feet is sacred? Be it a rock, be it a sand, be it a tree. So people go there and try to touch that, to remember the Lord, to purify the Lord, purify themselves. Right? So you see the land of Vrindavan, right? Starting, he was in Vrindavan, then he was in Mathura, in Kamsa's uncle's house, and then he went back, he was in the various forests of Vrindavan. So like that, there are many childhood pastimes in the entire Vrindavan. So devotees go to these places to remember the Lord, remember his pastimes, touch those places where Lord Krishna is touched. And that's how they purify themselves. So this purification of the heart, connecting us back to Krishna, which we forgot and came off, is something that cannot be explained. It can be only experienced when we go there. When we go there, see other devotees practice, hear from them, that is when, we really get connected to Krishna. So this is the purity of consciousness. This is what holy places like Vrindavan offers us. So even though Vrindavan is very simple in its material facts, devotees is so attracted to go there. They go year on year. They go do Govardhan Parikrama. Somehow they can hoping to see the Lord face to face. Because devotees go there to somehow see darshan of the Lord. Krishna gets the name called as Tirtha Kirti. He's called Tirtha Kirti. That means you can go there and get darshan of the Lord. Right? You must have seen people going to Govardhan and Mathura, Vrindavan, they all go to these places to perform great austerities. They'll get up early in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and they'll start the parikrama. They will chant the holy name. They will perform arati. So much of opportunity to remember the Lord. But once you're away from Vrindavan, you see the amount of opportunity to remember the Lord is also very, very less. So, hence, devotees, they go to these places and take bath in these holy rivers. And with the hope, somehow will I not meet a great devotee. Somehow will I not get purified. Somehow will I not get an opportunity to see the Lord. That is the hope. So, hence you see, devotion in separation is much supreme than devotion is being together. And Vidura realized this. And hence he said, I want to realize my Lord. So, he did not go to meet Krishna personally, but he started to go to these places of purity where he can remember Krishna. So, by the Lord's grace, when we have such a consciousness, the Paramatma in the heart sees that and he makes the arrangement. So, hence Prabhupada writes, by the grace of the Lord, on the bank of the sanctified Yamuna river, he came face to face with Uddhava. When he came face to face with Uddhava, he was so much in bliss. First is Uddhava looks like Krishna, because it's like seeing Krishna. Second, I'm going to meet one of the most dearest devotee of the Lord. Right? So, second. Third, a personality who has heard Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita fully from the Lord, who can give all those narrations to me. That way I will know about the Lord, Lord's activities, Lord's pastimes. Lord's consciousness will also come to me. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale, just like that. Right? So, this opportunity provided him Sadhu Sangha. So, Sadhu Sangha is very special, and that is what we have to see. We have to have the same consciousness of Vidura, going in search of Krishna, going in search of Uddhava. That consciousness we should have when we go to the holy places, and that's how we should go. This is the real benefit of our yatras. This is the real benefit of we going to Punya Kshetras, pilgrimage. So there are two kinds of things. One is the internals and the externals. What are all the externals? Oh, is Prasadam coming on time? Oh, will I get my AC room? Oh, will I get my most comfortable seat? So looking at all these things in a yatra is externals. They're okay, but they don't give you great benefit. But what's the real benefit in a yatra? The internals, focusing on it. Whatever I read in Bhagavatam, can I see it here? Can I touch those places? Can I get association mercy of a sadhu? Can I serve a Vrajavasi? Will my visit to Vrindavan increase my separation of love of Godhead? This should be the glory of our yatra. And this should be the mood. So, internal and external. When Chaitanya Prabhu had a conversation with Ramananda Rai, whenever Ramananda Rai talked about externals, for example, even Varnashrama Dharma, he talked about as an external. He said, no, that's all external. I'm not interested. Let's go internal. Let's go deeper. And when he talked about the pure devotion of Radha and Krishna, that is when Mahaprabhu acknowledged, saying that, yes, this is the highest. So this should be the mood, and this should be the purpose. when we go to Yatra. And this is what we learn from the life and the consciousness of Vidura. So Vidura, a great devotee, incarnation of Yamaraj, he comes to earthly planet so that he can increase his devotion. We are living in this earthly planet and we are not increasing our devotion. Now you see what is our problem. So let's focus on it. Okay, so that is how the pretext of Vidura meeting Uddhava begins. So we'll learn all these things also in first 5 chapters when we read the canto-wise, sloka-wise. But I'm just giving you a broad introduction as to life of Vidura, what was his consciousness, what did he search for. Okay. So we'll end today's class. Today's class got a little bit delayed. I'm sorry. That is because we had to do the quiz, and that's because we had to also talk about Vidura and setting the stage for getting to deep diving into Canto 3. Okay. So any questions? All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare
Any
Krishna,
question?
Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, you called Vidura Mahajan because he's an incarnation of Yama. One.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Is that your question?
And that is one thing. And second question is, Prabhu, when he comes out of Kauravas, I mean, after listening to Duryodhana, he leave the weapons, he comes off, no, Prabhu. And doesn't he come directly to Prabhasa Kshetra? And then he meets, or afterwards?
No. First 35 years of wandering he does. That means he goes to every Punya Kshetra to purify his externals, to purify his internals and his consciousness.
Okay.
And while he does that entire 35 years of journey, finally he is traveling from the east to west. So finally he reaches Prabhashat.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful explanation.
Now coming to the first question, why is he called a Mahajan? So Mahajan is not because he is Yamaraj.
Okay.
So for example, if you take Janaka Maharaj, he is a Mahajan. Why is he called a Mahajan? It's because even though he is a king, Janaka Maharaj is king of Mithila, even though he is a king, his actions, his speech, his consciousness, everything was centered around Krishna. He did not deviate anything. Even though he is a fully realized soul, he used everything in service of Lord Ram. That's why he's a Mahajan. So Yamaraj or Vidura, they're called Mahajan because they had such a consciousness, very advanced in their remembrance towards the Lord. That's why they called Mahajan. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, and what we heard now, Prabhu, that he goes to Uddhava, he meets Uddhava, and then he'll ask him to, because he had a conversation with Krishna, and he'll ask him to share the knowledge.
That we will discuss in the next part.
Okay.
What happens in the conversation between Vidura and Uddhava, we'll discuss the subsequent classes.
Okay. Then he will direct him to Maitreya.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, any other questions by others? Okay, so if there's no questions, from next week onwards, we'll start reading and we will learn Canto 3 nicely. Okay, Karandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyavacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Krishna.
Dandavat.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Okay, I'll end the meeting now. Hare Krishna.